What makes this guitar sound unique like that? It's because of the design. It's an unusual design altogether. So this type of guitar has a flat top, right? And it has an X bracing pattern. So this is a slightly domed top. You know, it has what's called a pliage behind the bridge. So you get a little bit of a raised area right here. And the bracing is ladder bracing, like classical, which means they go across like this, you know, like rungs of a ladder. And this guitar has X bracing over a fixed bridge. The bridge is glued on there. You see, you can't move that bridge. This bridge is movable with the tailpiece. So that's kind of like a violin or a mandolin, you know, with the movable bridge and tailpiece. The headstock you see is kind of like a classical. The neck scale is a little bit longer than this. So, but the strings themselves are a little bit lighter. So they're more flexible, but they have a little more tension because they're longer scale. And the strings are also different. Strings on this style of guitar have a steel core and a winding that's usually phosphor bronze or nickel or something like that. These have a steel core and silver-plated copper winding, which is like a classical winding. You know, so the strings are kind of halfway between a classical and a steel string. And then the pick is a little bit different. It's maybe a heavier pick. And then also, I play it differently because of the character of this guitar. It's gypsy jazz is often played on this style. So I'll do different things than I would do on this guitar that are characteristic to the style. So it's kind of a combination of a bunch of stuff, you know. It's as different a design as, say, you have a classical guitar, you have a steel string guitar, you have an archtop F-hole guitar, and this is like a fourth type of acoustic, you know.
Sounds great.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Takamine dealer, take note.
Yeah, they were asking about it last night as well.
Yeah, weren't they? Yeah. Yes.
Do you use the primarily downstrokes when you're playing the gypsy style, as opposed to the other guitar?
You do. There's a different picking technique that you would do multiple consecutive downstrokes a lot. Yeah.
So you find yourself not doing that on this other guitar, or?
Not as much. No. You know, when I learned how to play, it was alternating picking that was it basically. Yeah. And if you did anything besides that, it was lame. You know, that's what I was taught. Right. That's what I was taught. But you know, and learning so many things over the years, well, it's crazy. There's no one style of picking. Certain licks you can play with, you know, alternating. Certain ones you have to do the multiple downstrokes. Certain ones you have to do multiple upstrokes.
Yeah.
And certainly, you know, Brad has a whole kind of style and bag of licks that you do playing two downstrokes and an upstroke in a pattern. And that's, people might call that cross-picking. Clarence White did that a lot on the guitar. Jesse McReynolds did it on the mandolin, but he did a downstroke and two upstrokes. So really, there isn't any right or wrong way for any of it, but certain licks, you know, require a certain type of picking. And I say to anybody who uses a pick, try to pick with intention. Don't pick or strum because it's the only way that you can. You know what I mean? Some people go, well, I never thought about how I picked. Well, you should, you know, because it'll create a different sound. You know, a downstroke is different than an upstroke, and rhythmically, you know. So anyway, that's not to get on a soapbox about picking, but why don't we we're going to feature Brad on a number that he shows off this multiple downstroke.
I've discovered it years ago, listening to Eddie Van Halen do that little tapping thing that you've heard a lot of rock players do, and I really liked the way that felt, the rhythm of it. So I thought he was, you know, in Texas they don't let us out much. So I never saw the band, I just heard him on the radio, and I thought he was doing this. So you go down on the 6th string and down on the 5th string with a rest stroke, and then up on the 5th. So you do the same thing on the 2 bottom strings and pretend like you had a stop there for your rest. And I grew up playing bluegrass, and the bluegrassers hated it, just absolutely despised it because it was changing what they were used to doing. And so, anyway, it's kind of become a bit of a thumbprint for me, and I use it on electric and acoustic, and it's just called the double down up.
Did irritating the other people, did that kind of spur you on to develop it more?
It made me work harder on it. But it's a lot of fun, and I didn't have any licks. And I'm just going to say this because this is really important. I didn't have any licks, so I basically was a good player. I did alternating just like John, and played fiddle tunes and bluegrass and all kinds of stuff. And then I didn't have any licks with this particular technique, so I would mute the left hand and practice with the drum machine so I could get it really smooth. And we have a book out with Mel Bay, my publisher and I, and it's a bad book because it's got licks in it, and no one wants to spend time on this right hand. They want to go to the licks. So it's a great business model. They keep coming back because they can't figure it out. I'm kidding, that's not really true. I mean, I want people to learn it, but I'll show you what it sounds like. This is called Snowflake. And I'm just doing a quick drop D here, and I'll show you how it sounds.